like to call this meeting to order, the regular Board of Education meeting for the month of November 2015. Actually, the meeting was already called to order, and we are returning to regular session. We met at 4:30 in executive session for the purposes of evaluating our treasurer, and we did call the roll. And the only thing we did not do that we normally do to open the meeting is say the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I think I said that rather quickly. We started regular session at 4:30 and then immediately went into executive session. We evaluated Mr. Hiddle, our treasurer, and now we're back into regular session, and we'll move along with the agenda. Prior to doing that, I'm going to read the mission statement as we normally do for each of our meetings. The mission statement of the Piqua City School District is that the parents, students, staff, and community of the Piqua City School District accept the responsibility to provide our students with the best possible opportunities for the intellectual, moral, and physical development necessary to become responsible citizens. Just a brief reminder as to why we're all here this evening. You've had the opportunity to review the minutes from the October 28th meeting and the board work session on November the 8th, and we also had an emergency board meeting on November the 12th. Are there any questions or corrections to those sets of minutes? Hearing none, I do need a motion to accept, please.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and that will be approved by unanimous consent, please. The agenda for this evening's meeting has also been available for a number of days. Are there any amendments or changes this evening?
Actually, we do have two addendums that we want to add. It's letter M. With going to board docs, Mr. Hiddle and I have been working on how we would alert people to what would be added. And so we've decided, if you look on the agenda, we have K, old business, L, new business. Anytime we have additional items, we will put them in letter M as an addendum. And so tonight we have the approval of attached change order for chain link fence at Washington Primary School, and also approval of the attached change order for additional lockers in the science rooms at Piqua Central Intermediate School. Both of those are items that we have been discussing, and those change orders just came in this morning to Mr. Hiddle, so those have been added.
Okay.
You'll need to add that.
Also under item M, I am going to add number 3, which will be a vote to amend the current treasurer's contract this evening following his performance evaluation. With these changes, I will please entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, again, approved by unanimous consent. Sorry, it's taking me a minute here on technology. Moving on. I'm sorry, Mr. Hiddle?
I said I got to get Frank to show back up, too.
I would also like to take a moment to welcome our assistant treasurer to the table this evening. Mr. Hiddle will be on vacation next week, so Sarah will be filling in for him at the December meeting, so she's kind of watching how board docs is working. It's really not that scary. At this point, I'm happy to move on to the celebration portion of our agenda. Mr. Haynes?
We are extremely fortunate to have phenomenal community support, but also to be able to provide great opportunities for our students. And tonight we're celebrating some of our champions and looking at some of the students and the staff that help to provide great opportunities. And more importantly, this year we've had a phenomenal fall season. So first, we would like to recognize Andy Mace, Andy cross country, runner for 3 years now at the high school level, and just a phenomenal representative of Piqua City Schools. And at this point, Mr. Patrizio has the ceremonial resolution.
Andy, why don't you come on up? Andrew, the Piqua City School District wants to present you with a ceremonial resolution honoring you. Whereas Piqua City School District is proud to recognize Piqua High School athlete Andy Mays, whereas Andy Mays has demonstrated a commitment to excellence by qualifying for the OHSAA Division I Regional Cross Country Meet, whereas the Piqua City School District recognizes the extraordinary examples of high expectation, hard work, and self-motivation and effort. Be it resolved that the Piqua City School District honors Andy Mays and recognizes this commitment to excellence. This is adopted today's date, the 19th day of November, 2015. And Andy, tell us how far you went in the district.
What do you mean by that?
How did you place?
I was 18th place, and you need to be 16th place to move on to state.
Out of how many?
Probably close to 200.
And you're a pretty good student also, aren't you?
Try to be.
That's what it's about.
Well, congratulations.
Andy's a great example. Student athlete is the term that Mr. Hare uses a lot, and basically fine example of a student athlete that is out there doing a great job with cross country. You possibly have seen him running the streets of Piqua at all hours, it seems like, because he is constantly practicing it. But also does a phenomenal job in the classroom, does a phenomenal job in other activities throughout Piqua High School. So Mr. Hare or Mr. Lyons, anything you would like to say about Andy while you have the opportunity?
Mr. Haynes, as you said, Andy has just been a great example for a great athlete who puts a lot of time into it, but also in his civic duties as well. He is president of the Key Club and is highly involved with the show choir, and he is what the standard of what our student athletes we want to be on the floor or on in his world in the running competition, but also in the classroom and society. So we're very proud of Andy. And we know the good news is he's a junior and he gets to come back for another season.
The other great thing about Piqua, Andy, his mom and dad are here tonight, but also when he ran at regionals down at Troy, I think you were the most followed individual runner because many people from the Piqua community and staff were there, and so it was great to watch, and like Mr. Hare said, phenomenal representation of Piqua City Schools, and we greatly appreciate all the efforts, and congratulations this year, and it's going to be fun watching you your senior year, so thank you very much. Item number 2 is we had the pleasure of watching our football team do extremely well this year, and we greatly appreciate the leadership from Coach Neese, and with them making it to playoffs, that also brings recognition from the Board of Education. So at this time, Mr. Luby.
High School football team. Whereas the Piqua High School football team has demonstrated a commitment to excellence by qualifying for the OHSAA Division III playoffs. And whereas the Piqua City School District recognizes the extraordinary example of high expectations, hard work, self-motivation, and effort. And be it resolved that the Piqua City School District honors the Piqua High School football team and recognizes this commitment to excellence. So Bill, congratulations. It's nice to get in the playoffs, and looking forward to seeing them there again next year. Thank you.
All right.
the one thing in the resolution, it talks about hard work and dedication. Just like you see Andy on the streets running a lot and practicing all the time, it seems like, you see Bill's car constantly at the stadium. And that is an attribute to his dedication to the program and also to his players and to Piqua football. And it is extremely enjoyable to have coaches that truly are dedicated to what they are doing and dedicated to our student athletes. So a huge thank you on the part of Coach Neese. We greatly appreciate your efforts, and congratulations for a great season.
Would Tony or Chip like to speak?
Tony, Chip, anything you would like to say? Why don't you come on up to the mic so people can hear? And yes, I'm inviting you, Mr. Lyons, to the mic.
Where's Andy with the timer? Right there. No, for our positions, it's, you go to a lot of events throughout the year. You're always looking forward to week 11 in football. And thanks to Coach Neese, we came out the weekend just before during the musical, and his car is there until 11 o'clock. That's the kind of time he puts in. I think Rick mentioned that. So thank you very much for the work that you do, and congratulations once again to Andy.
I think there were a lot of us downtown. There were a lot of highlights throughout the season, but when we talk about the playoffs, when we came downtown from the Troy rally, and we got the escort into town from the police and the fire department were there, and we were at the gazebo, that's when we actually got the news that the Indians had made the playoffs, and that actual moment of joy was just genuine, not just from our players, but from our fans and community. It really was a lot of great energy downtown to have that, and it culminates a lot of hard work, and it's all under the leadership of Coach Neese, and of course that passes on down to the coaching staff and to the football team. So again, congratulations, and we look forward to another great season next year.
All right. Setting some pretty high standards for athletics next year.
Yes. Our other group that had an extremely great fall season was the Pride of Piqua Marching Band. And we have a group, and I love seeing them sit back there because pretty much the Pride of Piqua can go just about anywhere and find seats anywhere and be comfortable and be a great group. And I appreciate all their followers being here tonight. Mr. Height, you have that resolution.
Mitch, would you come up? We also have a resolution for the marching band. Whereas every year the Ohio Music Education Association sponsors a state contest. Whereas the Piqua City School District is proud to recognize the Piqua High School Marching Band. Whereas the Piqua High School Marching Band has demonstrated commitment to excellence by qualifying for this state competition and earning an excellent rating. Whereas the Piqua City School District recognizes the extraordinary example of high expectations, hard work, and self-motivation and effort. Be it resolved that the Piqua City School District honors the Piqua High School Marching Band and recognizes this commitment to excellence. Congratulations. Now, this is 2 years in a row? Okay.
I feel like there should be the drum roll.
All right. No pressure.
I'm surprised we didn't hear a drum roll. We didn't hear a cadence going there. Must not be any drummers back there.
Congratulations.
Great job. I'm sure y'all had fun too during the year, right? It's a blast.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
Good job.
Tony, are you going to speak, or are you going to allow Chelsea to come up to the mic? Okay.
He told me I wasn't allowed to say anything bad about it.
I said she had to make a deal with me. The evolution of this program is amazing. So throughout the years, you guys have seen it from where it began when Mitch first got here to over 100 members and early qualifying for state this year. Amazing job to Mitch and Carl and their team, and especially the kids. And I know nothing is more important than what Chelsea has to say right now.
No, I just want to say, as the obnoxious band mom that I am, the The kids know. But I just want to say, Mr. Mahaney, Mr. Filippo, you guys, I highly respect both of you, the way you do these kids, and the respect these kids have for you. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And I am so proud to be a part of this group and to be associated with this group. As an alumni myself, it's the world to me. And I know my daughter only looks up to you guys. But I just want to say thank you for the support that you give these kids and the respect that you show these kids, and to encourage them to just do their best. It's been a wonderful year, and I've got 3 more with you guys, and you both better be there. So neither one of you are going anywhere. So you're stuck, but I just want to say great job with the kids. Kids, good job, and we're looking for another great year. We got years to go. It was a great year.
Thank you. Chelsea, you didn't identify yourself to the audience.
I'm Chelsea Applegate. I'm a band mom. The obnoxious band mom. The obnoxious band mom. Mahaney, he'll tell
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your personal perspective about our band directors, teachers. That's frequently we as board members and administrators hear it, but thank you so very much, Chelsea, for sharing it with the public this evening, too.
And just like Andy's mom and dad are here, an important part of his success, also several band parents sitting at the back table, and we appreciate all the work they put in. And it's fun to watch because, again, the support of the Piqua community, the support from parents. The other thing that we get to watch, and I get to watch, if you listen carefully, I love the rapport between Coach Neese and Mitch Mahaney and Carl, from the standpoint of several times during the season I heard Coach Neese talking about the best band, and I also heard Carl and Mitch saying great things about the football program. And it's one where they do a phenomenal job of supporting each other. It is fun to watch after a win that the football team is on the field and the band comes around and starts playing and the helmets start going up and down. That is just an awesome display of what Piqua is all about. So a huge thank you to our staff who do a phenomenal job of providing great things for our students. So thanks to all of you, and 2 great programs that did wonderful this year on that football field. So thanks to all of you. Our next recognition is something that we get to do through the Ohio School Boards Association, and I want to share a little bit of the background to help recognize the essential role journalists play in school communications. Ohio School Boards Association created the Media Honor Roll in 2002 to highlight print and broadcast news media representatives for fair, balanced, and accurate reporting on public schools. Each year, Ohio School Boards Association invites school districts across Ohio to provide names for the Media Honor Roll. This year, Piqua City Schools, on behalf of the Board of Education, I submitted Steve Baker's name as a nominee for the Ohio School Boards Association Media Honor Roll, and it was a pleasure to let Steve know that he was selected for that honor roll, and one that we are careful and I want to say selective on who we nominate, and we don't do a nomination every year. Steve, one reason he came to mind was the fact that he is extremely familiar with the Piqua area and does a great job covering the Piqua area, but also through the entire project with the schools. Steve was there from the beginning. And from the beginning, I mean, when we were running the bond issue, I remember Steve was with his camera down at the courthouse as those numbers came in, and was very happy and joyous when we were able to celebrate the fact that the community did pass that bond issue. Secondly, Steve was there, it seems like, at every benchmark along the way, from groundbreaking to when we did some dedication ceremonies, to making sure he was there when we had students come through the first day of school. And so when you look at a span of 3.5, 4 years, Steve Baker spent a lot of time at Piqua City Schools, following our project and being there and really focusing on the good things that are happening at Piqua City Schools with that project. So on behalf of Board of Education, Steve Baker from WHIO Channel 7, if you'll please come forward and receive this plaque and award.
You know, when I started at the radio station many years ago, I covered the school board. Dr. Wisecup was superintendent. I think Oh, yes.
And for Steve, we also have a copy. The School Boards Association Journal comes out on a quarterly basis. This is the October version. Your name is in there along with WHIO, and so congratulations, and there's a copy for you. So thank you.
Thank you. What a great evening, all these celebrations, and we have a couple more.
We were contacted by Stu Shear. Stu leads up the Alumni Band and Alumni Band Association. Again, another community member who has been dedicated to Piqua City Schools and helping with the music department. Stu contacted Mitch and myself and said, hey, I got another $5,000 grant. And this is the second time that he has made that contact with us. And so, Stu, if you want to come up to the podium, and Mitch and Carl, and if you have student reps that want to come along, that's fine also.
Well, first, I'd like to preface a few things. The Alumni Band applied and received a 501c3 nonprofit status. It took us a year and a half to get it, but we finally got it last November. And one of the things that the executive committee and I decided we would do would be to start trying to write some grants. And we wanted to see exactly how much money we could raise to help out the instrumental music department. So our first grant was with the Miami County Foundation. And we applied in the spring, and this summer we were notified that we had a partial grant. And so we awarded the money at a band practice. I surprised Mr. Mahaney there. And so we did that in front of the band. Well, we thought, well, we'd go ahead and apply for another one. And this time it was the Piqua Community Foundation. And what the band was actually needing was euphoniums. And they're not cheap. And they're 4-valve euphoniums. And so with the first grant, we could only get 2. Well, I was expecting only a partial grant this last time, and we got the full grant of $5,000. And so with that, on behalf of not only the Miami County Foundation, but the Piqua Community Foundation, here's a check for $5,000. Thank you very much, Steve.
I just want to thank Stu for all of his work in doing this with the Alumni Band. Some of our euphoniums, or you may know them as baritones, but they're 4-valve Jupiter euphoniums. But our euphoniums that we had were pretty old. I mean, they were probably, I don't even want to guess how old they are. They're older than me, probably. So with this, we think we're going to be able to get an additional 4 euphoniums, and that'll bring a total of 6 that we can use in the high school band program. And the way it looks is we're going to need all 6 of them next year in the concert program. So it's a lot of help having Stu do this for us. So we really appreciate all the Alumni Band helping out. So thanks again, Stu. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
And Stu, if I'm correct, the Piqua Alumni Band is the longest
It's the
active,
oldest active alumni band in the state of Ohio.
yeah, the oldest active alumni band in the state of Ohio. So appreciate your leadership and also your contribution back to the high school. So thank you. Great.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great.
And then last, we have, we're here at Piqua Junior High, and Mr. Clark has the presentation for for student achievement.
Okay, yes, thank you. We're excited to host the board meeting and also to spotlight one of our programs. Last year, towards the end of last year, along with Mr. Thompson and a couple people even from the high school, I was able to do some research and do some investigating on some reading programming that was available, a program called Read 180. And we were fortunate enough to have you guys support that in terms of a pilot here at Pickwood Junior High School this year, to pilot that program this year and see what kind of an effect it can have on our students, and if that's something we want to look at growing in Pickwood City Schools. So as we scheduled this year, we selected 2 teachers to run that program for us this year, and we have them here tonight to kind of give you an update. It's in the big picture, in the grand scheme of things, it's early. We don't have a lot of the data that we're going to have at the end of the year. We've done some progress monitoring, and we're going to share a little bit of that with you tonight. But we're really excited about the program so far and what's happening with the program. So I have Angie Ford, Sandra Schneider are the teachers that are here to share a little bit with you tonight, and Hope Conway and Jarrell Lewis will be here as students to share their experience with Read 180. Mrs. Ford.
This is an amazing intervention program that allows me to meet individual students' needs on a daily basis, which I could not do without the program. We started with giving the students an SRI test, which determined their Lexile level, which is coming up on the screen. And then from there, they're grouped based on their levels, and I instruct the students for 20 minutes, whole group, and then we break up and I see only 7 students at a time. So while I'm instructing the 7 students, the other group of students is doing independent reading, and the third group is working on the software in the program. My favorite part of the entire program is the checkpoint, which I run the Groupinator. It divides the students into groups, again, typically of 7, and it allows me to see where the students faltered, and then I gather materials to make up for that. So today we did it, and we talked about visual literacy and prefixes with one group, and then author's purpose with another group. So it really lets me hone in on where they're faltering so that we can fix it. One of the success stories is I have a student that's made some bad choices, and he was sent to ISS, and he asked if he could stay in my classroom and work on Read 180 instead of going to the high school. And of course we said yes, and he's done it more than once now. His bad choices are not in my classroom, thank goodness, but he's wanted to stay and make up his work, and he does it immediately. So it's a pretty phenomenal program that's even encouraging the students, and hopefully you can hear Jarrell and what he has to say.
I concur with Angie. Not only does Read 180 have rigorous grade level tests and daily writing components, performance-based assessments, summative assessments, and differentiated instruction, it gives us crazy access to data. It generates lesson plans that correlate with the Ohio Common Core on a daily basis. We have a teacher dashboard when we log in that's very similar to the student dashboard. And on that dashboard, we get little snapshots of the student's progress in Read 180, such things as the average daily use of the software, the student Lexile levels, student averages on book quizzes, averages on strands and scores, and such things as comprehension, vocabulary, writing conventions. We can even schedule specific data that we can pick out to be emailed to us on a weekly basis. We have actually about 30 different reports we can pull up on our classroom. I can add time frames to that report. He's showing one now. It could be for the week, for the quarter, for the year. We have about 30 more reports we can pull up specific to our students that he has put. I think that one is the comprehension skills report. There's also a Lexile level growth report that I brought, and that was, like I said, just 2 of many that Angie and I use. One of the things that I like the most as far as data is the fact that on our dashboard we have a section called the portfolio. And in the portfolio we can actually see student writing and hear the recordings of students reading text. We can see what they're supposed to be reading. It gives us the fluency. And at that time, with either the reading or the writing, we can pull up a rubric, we can grade it, we can leave comments and send it back to them. That will pop up on their dashboard when they log in the next time. So I love that. And I'd also, I like the program. Angie and I both concur that we feel like it's a good program. We enjoy teaching it. And I love the fact that the district went that extra step and brought in a consultant who comes to our classrooms and watches us teach Read 180 and answers questions, provides us with feedback. It's such a huge, multi-level program that we're learning something new every day. So I appreciate that and the support that I've got from Angie and Mr. Clark and Mr. Messick and the board. So thank you.
I'm going to start with your name first, please.
My name is Hope Conway.
Closer.
My name is Hope Conway. My perspective from
You can even get this a little closer if you want. Go ahead, you're fine.
From my perspective, Read 180 really works. It might happen slowly, but all of my teachers said they really see it because of the way I am speaking and how I am doing on my schoolwork. Read 180, in my opinion, is a lot more fun than regular reading class because you get to move around and you won't really get homework.
Thank you. Good job.
Hi, my name is Jarrell Lewis, and since I've been in I'm in Miss Ford's Read 180. Since I've been in Read 180, reading is more fun and it is easier to read than before. I like how the novels match my Lexile level. There are more teacher and student interactions in this class, which is more helpful than in the past. I also like now the groups are all together. For example, one kid is not ahead of the rest of the group.
I'm so excited to have students here, and I know this is a nerve-wracking thing for them, but as an example, Hope, the reports I get, and she mentioned this briefly, and I wanted to come back at the end to kind of brag on both the students and the teachers because they can't really do that as much as they could or should maybe. But the comments you get, not just from Sandra about her student, about Hope, the other teachers that have her social studies teacher, her science teachers, and math teachers, and the leaps and bounds that she is making in those classes as well, because reading is such a foundational thing. We all know that. And if students can improve those reading skills, it's going to carry over to all the other content areas. And Jarrell is the same way. His performance carries over to all those other classes as well. I know Jarrell's been honored as Student of the Month already by his team. And again, Hope, have you gotten Student of the Month already this year? She will. She will for sure. So they say great things about her. So I'm excited about that. In terms of Sandra and Angie and the job they're doing, they briefly mentioned the professional development that goes along with it. We've had the same trainer, Christy Dunaway, who does an amazing job of working with them along with the students. And I think Mr. Messick and Mr. Thompson have been a part of some of the meetings I've been in, and they would back me up on this. The compliments that she pays our teaching staff in terms of just the hard work they put into implementing this and implementing it the right way. We heard that so much from the get-go. Read 180 is a good program, but it doesn't work if you don't have people doing a good job of putting it into action and implementing it. And they are so good about taking suggestions and taking those critiques and saying, okay, I'm going to put that into action right on the fly as it happens when Christy is here to work with them. So she says wonderful things about them. That's been a huge part of the program, that professional development, and we really appreciate the support of the board and the district and giving us that as a resource. So I think it's going to show great things. I'm excited about the potential. If things continue to go as well as they do, I'm excited about the potential of growing it at Pickwood Junior High School, potentially at other buildings, of growing the utilization of Read 180. I think it can do some great things for us. Any questions for me or the students, or Angie or Sandra?
Just want to say congratulations to the students for coming before the board and speaking. You did a great job. Thank you very much. And to both of the staff members here this evening. Thank you so very much. And Jeff, for sharing the compliments.
Yeah.
It sounds like an awesome program. I can't wait for it to be shared throughout the district.
A lot of genuine excitement going, so
Great,
yeah, we're
great.
excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Similar to Canada, but. Yeah, contact. We've completed the celebration portion of our evening, and we're going to move on to the business portion, and I think most everybody already knows that they're more than welcome to depart the commons and work on dinner and homework and all those other things that families do. Thank you so very much for being here, and again, congratulations for all of those who were recognized during our celebration portion of the meeting. Move on to board reports first. As I mentioned earlier, when we had approved minutes, the board did have a work session in Columbus earlier this month. And Mr. Gregerson, would you like to provide a brief synopsis of our time together?
Well, I thought it was a good session. It's good to be able to get together, just discuss things and look at the district in a lot of different lights, which we did, in academic performance, financial issue or performance and things of that nature. And it was just generally a good time to review a lot of different areas for the board. I felt like it was a good time and learned a lot of good stuff.
Anyone else care to add? Go ahead.
Just a little bit of background about what the OSBA annual conference is. Our board has been going to that for a number of years. This year it was November 8th, 9th, and 10th in Columbus. And it's a combination of a lot of different events. As Mr. Gregerson said, we start on Sunday with a work session, which is 3 hours. A lot of good stuff comes out of that. Then on Monday and Tuesday, there are a variety of breakout sessions that individuals can attend. It's not just board members, they're administrators, our directors are there, a treasurer is there, and each group has breakouts that they can attend that helps broaden their horizons a little bit and to meet with peers across the state. So it's a good opportunity for us to find out what's working in other places. People ask us what's working in our district. So it's a good sharing all the way around, and it gives us a chance to interact with other people and just see what's happening around Ohio.
Thank you. We had a little bit of a different format for our work session this year. It was a little more casual and not so many formal reports, and we felt like we had a lot of very good content and opportunities for discussion. I'd also like to mention that your new board member who takes a new term in January also participated in the work session and in the conference. So thank you, Mr. Bostic, for taking the time to participate in those opportunities. How about if we move to Mr. Patrizio then for the legislative report?
I have 2 items. The first is that State Senator Cliff Height is having a series of forums to discuss school district practices on paying to participate. Most of them have passed, but there is one in Dayton on Monday, November 23rd, and it's at the Salvation Army. It's his belief that, schools should do away with these fees because they prohibit some students from participating. And I just wanted to let all the board members know about that. Then another senator, Senator Joe Schiavano, who's the minority leader of the House, has sent a letter along to the local school boards that asking for his support of Senate Bill 230 and House Bill 379. These bills are basically look at modifying the CEO approach of what they call the Youngstown plan that was passed by House Bill 70. I don't have all the detail. I don't know if Rick knows more about this or not on the changes, but he has asked for school board support in this legislation and something that maybe we should look at.
At this point, no additional comments from me on that.
Anything further on legislation? Mr. Haynes or Mr. Hiddle? Okay. Then, Mr. Luby, how about the Upper Valley Career Center report this evening?
We will meet this coming Monday, so I have nothing to
Very
report
brief.
this evening.
Great, thank you. At this point in the agenda, it's the opportunity for the public to speak regarding agenda items, and I have no request to address the board this evening, so we will move on to the treasurer's report. Mr. Hiddle?
Just two quick points of things that are going on in the office currently. Our CAFR is wrapping up, as well as our audit at the same time. We've got a letter that we need to complete. Rick and I work on that every year, so we have that to finish up. And we just wrapped up our stat tables, and they're getting ready to be sent off, and we will be wrapped up with the CAFR, so that's coming to a close. And our auditors are starting to do their final reviews of all of the information that they've been working on, and so we're getting close to the end of that. My hope is that by the end of November, we should be close to being done, which we're done a little earlier than we usually are. So that's good news, considering I won't be here for a little while in December, so I'm happy to hear that. The monthly financials, are there any questions about those?
You look good.
We are on track to finish our next year in the black and continue to see revenues outpace expenditures. I can't ask for anything more from the staff. I mean, I think things are going terrific. It's all positive news, so that's good. Any questions?
Just a comment, I'll share that Jeremy did report on the 5-year forecast with the Superintendent's Advisory Council this week and was able to answer questions, and they were all very impressed and pleased with the state of the finances in the district. So able to address the questions, and there really weren't any strong concerns. So I think, again, another reflection on the great job that we're doing in the district financially, and specifically you and the Treasurer's Office employees. So thank you.
It's exciting when I don't have a lot to say. That means that things are going well.
Exactly.
I don't have to say, yeah, we got all these problems. So it's a good place to be in right now.
And even though we were in executive session for an hour and a half, that doesn't mean Jeremy was in there the whole time. So, at this point, we need to vote to accept the monthly financial reports. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Hiddle, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Patrizio.
Yes.
Mr. Gregerson.
Yes.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Moving on to the superintendent's report then.
Item number 1 was student achievement update. Mr. Thompson, if you would like to share a few things.
I just wanted to point out that yesterday the State Department released a statement to school districts and the public resulting in that they're going to release all the preliminary data officially tomorrow on November 20th. The purpose of releasing that is for districts to review it. It is preliminary. They'll be able to make corrections before it's submitted to EMIS, and then that data will be used to calculate our local report card. Current problems that might occur in the preliminary data might be duplicate students, or there might be students on there that aren't actually in our district. We've had some teachers and some virtual schools appear on the data, and part of that is because this year there were 2 different assessments that the students took. They took the performance-based at one date, and then at the end of the year they took the end-of-the-year assessment, and if students move between districts, the state doesn't know what to do with that data until we calculate the number of days those students attended in our school or the other school districts. So there's a lot of little nuances and things that'll need to be cleaned up by our EMIS coordinator. They also indicate, and I'll just read this quote from them, the results this year should not be compared to previous OAA or OGT scores because these are new tests with greater expectations. So they are cautioning districts and communities to make sure that they pay attention to the fact that they're new assessments with new expectations put on us. And lastly, they usually release this data in June 15th. The reason it took longer this year is because it's a news test, and they had to wait till they got all the scores in before they could release what they produce as a cut score for all the different performance levels. So it's very atypical that it's this late. State law says that next year the data will be released before June 30th. So we will have the assessment data earlier next year. It's just this year being new, they had to create some new cut scores. Any questions? Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Dwayne.
Yep.
Moving on to building project update, Mr. South.
Good evening. With our building construction project, we continue to track on budget and on schedule, as we have through the majority of the project. Demolition is ongoing, nearly finishing up. Nicklin, Favorite Hill, Wilder have grass seed planted, and we're just watching the grass grow. Bennett and High Street still have the removal of the old building happening, but then here in the very near future, grass seed will be planted there and will be finished up by the end of the year. We talked previously at last month's board meeting about the parking lot at Spring Creek that we're adding. Contractors have mobilized and they'll be starting. There's equipment on site, and as soon as the ground is ready, we'll start on that. Contractors that are doing that work is Peterson, who's been our general trades contractor all the way through on all three of our buildings. We still have some warranty work that's going on with the turn lane, and that's Jurgens. And then demolition is Salenbean, that's finishing up for us. So continuing to track very well. Any questions?
And Mrs. Straley, I know, was working at Spring Creek today with the construction team to ensure that they could still do recess, and they were moving dirt. And Connie, you shared that they have cones that you're going to be putting up so that we're still continuing to separate students from any construction going on with the parking lot. Any questions for Kurt? Thanks, Kurt.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the enrollment chart that was included? Under other, just congratulations to Mr. Patrizio for being reelected for another 4 years to the Board of Education, and also congratulations to Mr. Bostic for being elected to the Board of Education for 4 years. So congratulations to both of them. Moving on to Superintendent's agenda, item number 1, recommend board approval of the attached list of donations. Those include $1,500 from the Donnelly Donor Advised Fund and Piqua Community Foundation to Piqua Junior High School, Washington, D.C. trip, and we greatly appreciate that donation, especially Mr. Clark and the students here, 8th grade students at Piqua Junior High. Polysource to the PHS Pink Out shirt sponsor, $1,000. Coverman Staley Insurance to Piqua High School Athletic Department for $250. Unity National Bank to the Piqua High School Dance-a-thon for $100. REAK to Piqua High School Pink Out shirt sponsor for $500. Piqua Battery to Piqua High School Dance-a-thon for $50. Drive-a-thon proceeds to Piqua High School Golf Team for $116. And the Strawberry Festival to the Piqua High School Girls Softball Team for $600. And a huge thank you to all of those students and also parents and coaches who helped to generate those donations to the district.
Short agenda this evening. I'll entertain a motion to approve the donations as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Hiddle, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Let's move on to the personnel agenda.
Thank you. Recommend board approval of the request to rescind the retirement resignation of Kay Snyder approved at the October 28, 2015 board meeting. Recommend board approval of the retirement resignation of Howard Brown from his position of custodian effective December 31st, 2015. Recommend board approval of the supplemental resignation of Brandon Fay from his position of 8th grade girls basketball coach. Recommend board approval of the supplemental resignation of Matt Collette from his position of JV boys bowling coach. Recommend board approval of the classified substitute Roberta Conley as an A1 library aide at Washington Primary School. Recommend board approval of FMLA leave for Roger Bateman from his position of BC1 custodian at Piqua High School from November 3rd, 2015 through November 20th, 2015. Recommend board approval of FMLA leave for Stacy Whitney from her position of kindergarten teacher at Spring Creek Primary from December 18th, 2015, returning on or about March 14th, 2016. Recommend board approval of FMLA leave for Angela Woods from her position of 4th grade teacher at Piqua Central Intermediate from December 18th, 2015 until March 14th, 2016. Recommend board approval of FMLA leave for Tony Riley from her position of guidance counselor at Piqua High School from about January 4th, 2016 through February 17th, 2016. Recommend board approval of the attached list of substitute teachers for the 2015-16 school year. Recommend board approval of the attached list of classified substitutes for the 2015-2016 school year. Recommend board approval of the attached list of supplemental contracts for the 2015-16 school year. And recommend board approval of the attached list of volunteers valid for 5 years from the date of this meeting.
Entertain a motion, please, to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Hiddle, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Moving on to old business, this is our third policy read on the policies listed below. Anything to add, Mr. Haynes?
Not at this point. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to entertain.
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion, please, to approve these policy changes.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Hiddle, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Second item on the agenda this evening under old business is the track renovation replacement update.
And basically, at the work session, you were able to view the type of surface that we're looking at. Also, we were able to talk to one of the vendors at the Ohio School Boards Association. We have pricing in from one. We are still waiting pricing from the other. Keep in mind that pricing is coming in through the Southwest Consortium, who did all of the bidding for us, and that's done well in advance for the entire consortium. So at this point, we're hoping that for the December meeting, we will have a recommendation for the Board of Education. And between now and then, I will keep you updated as to where we are headed with the track renovation.
Thank you. Would you like to provide any additional information on the Spring Creek parking lot?
I think we have covered Spring Creek parking lot.
Thank you. Well, it was on the agenda.
Yes, it was.
And the board was presented with the PJHS softball and baseball proposal during its work session at the OSBA conference. And Mr. Hare, were you going to speak to that this evening? Or
Basically, just a thank you from Athletic Council for providing this recommendation. And you do have a copy of the recommendation before you. And we are not looking for approval tonight. We are just putting it as a discussion issue. Mr. Hare was not at the work session, so Mr. Hare, if you want to come on up, if anyone has any questions about the proposal being recommended from Athletic Council, I want to give that opportunity. We are not looking at approval until the December meeting, where it will come up before your consideration. The Greater Western Ohio Conference has shared with us, as long as we have let them know by January, we are fine with competing with these two recommendations. So, Chip, anything else you want to share?
And I think the information that you got at the work session probably is what you need to know. On the side, though, I would mention that our baseball teams and softball teams the past few years have been competing at club level, And by moving into the scholastic piece, it really does help firm commitments for our kids as they certainly develop into the high school programs. I don't think I have to mention it again, whether it's baseball, softball, or any of our athletic programs. Our youth programs are vital to fueling our future successes, and not in just the wins and the losses necessarily, but in the success that our teams and Pickwa Athletics, and certainly goes to Pickwa City Schools, has in that area. So I appreciate your consideration for this.
Chip, during the work session, I believe the only thing on the information that was presented that the board would like to have changed in the proposal is that the Boosters Clubs, we don't feel should be responsible for paying for the equipment and the uniforms and the umpires, that it should follow along with all of the other athletic programs that fall under the department.
That was put in there in the, which follows along with some of the other practices that have happened with our uniforms. Let me give you an example for girls basketball. They needed a whole set of uniforms to replace because of budgetary issues that we had. We paid, the athletic department paid for one set and the boosters paid for the other set.
Okay.
So it would not be that we would ask the booster club to put that full responsibility on their plate. It would be a shared responsibility.
Okay. Well, we just wanted it to follow along with how the responsibility
Absolutely.
falls
We
with
were
all the
following
other programs.
protocol as with other teams.
All right, great. I think that was the only item on the proposal that we'd like to see. Okay. Thank you.
And I'll just say it does, from the treasurer's perspective, it makes me happy to know that it will no longer be listed as a club sport, because it leaves that out there in limbo. So that gets them under the PAB umbrella and the things that the board has already approved and authorized versus running as a club sport. So for me, it's a little bit better from the auditing perspective and understanding where the cash is coming from. So.
And as much as I enjoy Jeremy's company and talking to him on the phone, it will cut those conversations down minimally in the spring.
Great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, under new business. As we mentioned, the board did meet in executive session this evening for the purposes of evaluating the treasurer. And at this point, I am going to recommend that we approve an amendment to his current contract. If someone will please make that motion. You've had a chance to review it.
I'll make a motion, we amend his current contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Hiddle, will you please call the roll? Can you do that? Is that kosher?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all good. Mr. Luby?
Aye.
Mr. Height?
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson?
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio?
Aye.
Mrs. Webster?
Aye. I'm also going to recommend that we approve the continued appointment of Mr. Hiddle in his position as treasurer for a 5-year period commencing August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2021. And even though that may be a bit far, a few months in advance, it was something that the board wanted to take care of getting into place before I retire. I'm not old enough to retire, but can complete my term. So we've been working on negotiating a new contract with Mr. Hiddle. So at this point, I've made the motion to approve the contract that you have had an opportunity to review. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further question or discussion?
I would like to say publicly that I've been very pleased with Jeremy's work in the last couple of years. I always thought Jeff was a very good treasurer, and I think Jeremy has come in and done as good a job, and very pleased to have him.
I'll echo those sentiments. It was a little concerning when we lost our previous treasurer, but I think you coming in and hitting the ground running, we have not lost a beat, and you've done a great job, and that's echoing the sentiments that were shared with Jeremy. I don't know if I can, that's all I'm going to say about that, because executive session is confidential, but yes, we're very pleased as a board and very happy to have you and your family here as part of the community. So again, thank you. It's been very busy for you with the construction contract or project, as well as negotiations right away. So thank you again for doing a great job. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, then please call the roll.
Mr. Luby?
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome. Moving on to item M in the agenda, the addendums. Would you like to take care of those, Mr. Haynes?
Actually, Mr. South.
Mr. South? We have a change order for the chain link fence at Washington Primary School. Again, the board had the opportunity to hear about this in our work session, so please share with the public.
Sure. As I say all the time, on schedule and on budget, we're able to do that because we look ahead and try to do things that make sense, but also that we can afford. And as we were going through the design years ago, we talked about various different things, and you've heard us talk about a term, value engineering, where it's something we would like to do. We're not sure if we can afford it. If there's money available and the state agrees to co-fund it, then we will proceed with that. And that's exactly what happened with the fence around the perimeter between us and the houses to the north and to the west. So we'll be starting that work here. They want to wait till the ground is frozen so that they're not damaging the grass that's been planted there around Washington property.
This requires board action, correct? All right. You have the change order attached. The total is $32,000.
This one's 28.
28?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Stone Creek. The other one's 28.
Yeah, it's 32,000.
It's
32.
for the chain
Okay.
link.
And, yep, there it is, right there in red. So is there a motion to approve this change order for the construction of the fence at Washington?
So moved?
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? I think that'll just finish off the property. It's going to make it look really, really nice.
I do too.
Moved and seconded. And Mr. Hiddle, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Would you care to also speak about the lockers, please?
Yes. Again, value engineering was a term that we used. We have 6 science rooms in the intermediate building, 2 on each floor, 1 per each grade. And at the time of design, we were not planning on having lockers in those rooms. But as we got through construction and were actually coordinating efforts between the staff and the construction project, it was felt that lockers would be beneficial in all of those rooms. And so we did revive the value engineering item that was not included in the original bid and asked the state to co-fund additional lockers for those rooms.
Thank you for explaining that quite well to our rep. You have that change order in front of you as well. Any questions or comments with Kurt? Someone like to make the motion then to approve the change order?
So moved.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Hiddle, please call the roll.
Mr. Gregerson.
Aye.
Mr. Luby.
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye.
Mr. Height.
Aye.
Mrs. Webster.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just a comment on that. If you think over the entire construction project we've talked about, it has been a very good project. The board has not seen very many change orders at all, and that isn't always typical. And so a huge thank you to Gilbane Construction and Kurt for his work, and also working with Stacy Thompson with Ohio School Facilities Commission, and also our Peterson Construction, who has done the major work and the lead contractor. It's rare to see the limited amount of change orders, and so a huge thank you to everyone involved with the project, because this has been a very good thing.
Thank you, Kurt. What was the number that Gilbane shared that was, did they call it value engineered, or that they saved us in the process? Was it like $2 million?
It was significant.
Yes.
We can pull that number for next time.
But just saying that everyone who's been involved in the project, from the construction company down to even all the students and the staff and the administrators, it just was a wonderful, I'm hearing from all the parties how wonderful everything went, that it was very, very good experience. I have no requests to address the board this evening regarding non-agenda items. I'd like to thank the administrators again for their monthly reports. We do appreciate hearing and learning, reading about what's going on in your buildings. Before we adjourn, I would like to remind everyone about the STEM open house on November 30th. That's at both the high school and the junior high. At the high school, it's room 509. That used to be the
Industrial arts.
the Industrial Arts Wing. And here at the junior high, rooms 309 and 310. Again, that's at 6 o'clock on the 30th. The next regular board meeting will be December the 15th at 6 p.m. and we'll be over at the high school. Thank you, Tony, for hosting us next month in advance. If there's no other business to come before the board this evening, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, and that motion will pass by unanimous consent. We are adjourned.